Helo, agus fáilte go trí seascad den program ag BBC Alba ha dul go críoscíalach an bhoranaich an saoil spórs na Halba. Is mis Iona Ballantyne agus ha mi tolíteire go bhfuil seann cluicheadair Glasgow City agus Alba Suzanne Lappin arás cholarúm san siúdio. Ar program na heiche noch lí cúsin teanna go bhúlach fé sin súlarás ar an deireadh sheachdain fiol eile ar an SWPL a hin. Has ní Rovers Saffron Jordan, skipper Blackburn Rovers and in championship na ban in Sassin. Agus has na gol chun a lehedan, choirish and skied Albannach Kirsty Muir. Suzanne, welcome back to 360.
Thank you. Nice to be back.
What a time we're having in SWPL 1.
yeah, I think the results over the last week or so have blew it right open again. You know, that huge result for Celtic, you know, pretty much puts them, you know, back in the title race, if you like, and obviously, you know, Glasgow City flying at the top still as well, so it makes for, you know, an interesting viewing over the next couple of weeks.
It certainly does. If we just look at the last fixtures on Sunday, which we just had, I mean, Celtic versus Hibs, like you say, another brilliant win for Celtic, 9 points over their last 3 games.
Yeah, and I think, you know, looking back over the last couple of seasons, you know, Celtic, where it's let them down has been their consistency. And they had 3 huge games there, you know, within a week, and I think to come away with that with 9 points, you know, they'll be delighted. You would think it would give them, you know, huge confidence for the run-in. You know, they've shown that they can beat Rangers, who in a lot of people's eyes, you know, beaten them twice now. They were the favourites for the league, so, you know, in their view, you know, they'll be looking to kick on and finish as high as they can. And
you can see their squad really come together. There's new signings coming in and playing really well. Mariah Lee, she's made such an impact. Even having Seirbheis Nàiseanta coming back from injury, they seem to be pulling the squad together. Yeah, I think that's probably what I was impressed most about, you know, watching them against Rangers. That, you know, it wasn't, you know, a great performance from Celtic, but what they had was a togetherness. You could see that they were organised, they all knew their roles, and, you know, credit to them when the opportunity came their way, they took it. Whereas Rangers, you know, unfortunately for them, didn't take theirs, and it led to Celtic getting the 3 points. And for Hibs, I mean, that's another defeat for them. It has been a tough season. You can see they are starting to come together. Even playing Rangers midweek, that was just a 1-0 defeat. So you can see things are happening. But even then, that defeat against Celtic, I mean, 3 defeats in a row.
Yeah, I think, you know, from a Hibs point of view, they've always been, you know, in my eyes, they're one of the top sides in this country and always have been. You know, they've produced so much talent over the years. You know, for example, Kim Little, who's, you know, been away in America, you know, down at Arsenal. They've had so much talent as well that's, you know, went to other teams within Scotland as well. So, you know, I have a huge amount of sympathy for them because they've got great young players coming through, but I think they just need a bit more time to gel and, you know, maybe a bit of experience added to that, and they can be a really successful side again.
It's probably hard as well because the form that's not what they're used to.
Yeah, it's not, you know, and I think players like Joelle, who's, you know, been there, you know, she's been there for, you know, God knows how long now, but, you know, she'll be there trying to install in those younger players, you know, with the right attitude, mentality, the right coaching. You know, you're going to have the setbacks before you hit the top. You know, I remember it myself when, you know, when I first joined Glasgow City, they hadn't won nothing. You know, they were always the maybe team and never quite got there. But, you know, look at them after, you know, how many years. So there's no doubt that Hibs can become a top side again.
Well, if we look at Glasgow City, it was another win for them. They're looking confident at the top of the table, but even with a 4-0 win over Hearts, you can tell that's not enough.
Yeah, I think, you know, after coming back there after, you know, the lockdown, I think their team's almost unrecognisable to a certain extent. You now look at players on the bench who, you know, would never have been on the bench before. They've got such strength and depth now. A lot of quality players they've brought in, and, you know, as you say, you know, Scott's obviously, you know, setting the standards really, really high there again, and, you know, isn't happy with a 4-0 victory, that he's pushing for more.
Did you understand the standards that are set there and just what's required each match day?
Yeah, it is. You know, when I played for Glasgow City, you know, sometimes the training was harder than some of the games at the weekend. You know, we were so competitive. You went home from training, you know, absolutely fuming if your team didn't win, and it was just that winning mentality that was installed in you. And dare I say, I think it slipped away from Glasgow City over the last maybe year or so, and, you know, Scott's obviously pushing to, you know, reinstall that and make sure that, you know, as I said, people maybe thought Rangers would come and take their title off them, but, you know, Glasgow City don't give anything up without a fight, and, you know, they've really started really well after the break.
Well, Rangers, I mean, they are just firing the goals. That was an 11-0 win against Forfar Farmington, which maybe you wouldn't have expected Forfar to concede so many.
No, I don't think so. You know, judging by, you know, when I played against Forfar and, you know, what they're renowned for, they're a really tough, difficult team to beat. You know, Rangers obviously coming off the back of the defeat by Celtic really obviously had a point to prove. You know, and I think in that game versus Celtic, you've seen really, you know, little sprouts of what they're capable of. You know, bruidhinn I was really impressed with, and you know, for them to get 11 goals, you know, it'll just bring their confidence back up and they'll be looking to rectify that defeat from Celtic. They
were missing Kirsty Howard though, which is so devastating for her and devastating for Rangers too, as a top goal scorer out with an ACL. That it's so sad to see.
Yeah, it is. Kirsty Howard, you know, I've watched her a lot when she was at Glasgow City. She's a player I really admire. You know, she's a goal scorer, but I think what she epitomises is her work ethic, and it, you know, actually turned out to be her work ethic that resulted in her picking up that injury. You know, going across to the sideline to try and press to prevent Celtic playing it up the park, and you know, it did look like a bad one at the time, and you know, to see the news come through that she's out with an ACL injury, it's, you know, it's really sad for the player and huge loss to Rangers as well.
Absolutely. And just elsewhere, we do have Spartans and Motherwell. Spartans are a team who are really kind of going for that fourth spot, if you can say it.
Yeah, and I think they always are. You know, Spartans have always been a good side. Again, they always, you know, have really good one or two quality players. You know, they've got players that have been there for a long time as well, and they're always a team that are always pushing the top three.
How do you see the rest of the season going? Because it's tight at the top of the table, and no matter who you speak to at the top, they're like, oh no, it's about the win, maybe not so much about the goals. But when you look at the results, goals have got to come into it.
Yeah, I think, you know, it's particularly when it is so tight, you do need to hammer home the message that, you know, if you're 3-4, 5-0 up, you don't take your foot off the gas, because it can come down to that goals at the end of the day. And you know, it is very tight. You know, there's Glasgow City versus Rangers in a couple of weeks' time. That's going to be a huge game, and you know, almost potentially could decide the way that the title goes.
Great, well, it's very exciting, and we do look forward to these matches. A Saffron Jordan and a Sheachdain Ballanytne chuir Blackburn Rovers Saffron Jordan mar skipper an t-seusan'sa. Thuúlaigh na cluicheadair-aghaidh, ha cuideach na h-obair and a Seirbheis Nàiseanta na sláinte since 3 in a COVID-19.
Was spórs Iona and Suzanne skipper Blackburn Rovers Saffron Jordan. A cóisií a cluichball cuicheadair-aghaidh agus a bruidhinn.
Well, I come from a family of 5, and I'm like the second eldest. My sister's got nothing to do with any sport at all. You know, she was more into the fashion side and all the girly stuff, but it was more my dad, who was a Muay Thai champion, UK champion back in the day. He was a big football fan, and he would take me to training and play with me in the garden from like a young age of 3. So I think that's probably where it stems from. And then after that, I've got all boys, my younger brothers, and I used to play football in the garden, make them dive on concrete so I could practice my shooting and everything. So I think we are a very, very athletic family. But I'm not going to give credit to my mum as well. My mum, I've seen a couple of certificates back in the day when she would do like hurdles or, you know, athletics within high school. So I'll have to give them both credit for my athletic abilities.
As Joey Coramaing is on Grishak Manchester United. Galaf Saffron guna naivch in Manchester City, for a duadi, barach leisachuk game.
I trialled for Man United team when I was out about 11 or 10, and I would play for the boys team on the Saturday and then play with the girls on the Sunday. So then I was playing with that till the age of 16, and then at that time Man United didn't have an open age team. It was before, you know, the Super League, and the opportunities wasn't there. So I took a trip across the city and played for Manchester City. My dad didn't really like it. I didn't really like it because I'm a big Man United fan. So it was hard to play for, you know, the rivals. But I had great opportunities there. I played there for 3 years, and then I got scouted again to go over and play in America for a university team. And then when I came back, I signed up for Blackburn. So that's pretty much, it just flows, opportunities come and arise. And I've been around the world, so I'm happy with my experience.
Chai Saffron yn nŵg yn start yn ynitje, far an roi the cuairteach le dói cluiche professionte.
The facilities over there are amazing. It's going to college and then training twice a week in England. You don't know when the training's going to happen. It's just a little text message and then driving there and going back home, to waking up, having 2 training sessions in the same day, having gym facilities, the physio, everything. It's amazing. You travel on big coaches, get flown around, play different teams and colleges. It's great opportunity. It's kind of like a professional taste to it at a young age. And I was in Florida, so the weather helped as well. I met a lot of people from different cultures, and there was a lot of internationals over there, so it was probably the best experience I've ever had.
Y glwys y dyddash gan rioch gynnichtje, agus I fiach an di skipper a lorach. Hwy Saffron Bravo siawn skipper na Rovers Linda Shepherd, va amolwg Blackburn Rovers.
When I was at Man City, I played with Linda Shepherd, who was the captain of Blackburn after she left City. And we was friends throughout, and she always used to give me text messages when I was in America, like, oh, how's it going? And we would stay in contact. And when I came back, Man City, a lot of the people who I knew before wasn't there anymore. It was like they was in the Super League, and it was like, you know, flashing lights. And I just wanted to get back into English football, just slide in. So I text Shep and Linda. I text Linda, and she said, yeah, come over, and I've been there ever since now.
Ha skipper na Rovers is nog gug barachus kiet tourist gan club. Is I a gamas is Seirbheis Nàiseanta ache, a ha gama fashk I the kri.
When you're enjoying football, you like to stay, and I've been enjoying my football at Blackburn. We've won a lot of things, and I've met a lot of great people, and met my best friend there, and just, it's a fantastic club, and 100 appearances speak a lot, because I've been having fun there, and the club's been good to me, so I'm only reciprocating that back. I can't express how much Blackburn means to me. I think it's the longest that I've been at a club, and it's probably where I've played my adult career at, and I look back, and I might not think about it now, but in a few years when I've retired or stopped playing football, I'll look back and I'll think, wow, we've accomplished a lot at that club. And I hope Blackburn goes up and up and up, and it'll be a nice thing to see.
Varach I vi a cluich ball-coise, ha Saffron cuide go gopir on the Seirbheis Nàiseanta, agus ha I sinna chumel dol, tron a pandemic.
Although it's been a struggle, it's been hard. Sometimes I feel like I'm on autopilot, going from work to training, waking up, work, training. But it's a nice escape at training. You know, you're seeing the girls. It's nice to take your mind off stuff, and then not feeling like you're just doing the mundane things over and over and over again. I love working for the NHS, and it is a proud thing to do. And then maybe in a few years in the future, I'll be like telling my kids, you know, back in the day when they're reading the history books and coronavirus comes up, I'll be like, oh, back in the day, you know, your mum was like helping to do a bit. But hopefully it ends soon. I can't wait for things hopefully go back to normal. And I just, you know, it is a proud thing to do, and it's a proud thing to be a part of. But I'm just waiting for it to end, to be honest with you. Sometimes, you know, you have to go through a lot of stuff to appreciate the little things in life. And I think now we're coming to the end of it, hopefully, fingers crossed, so we can look forward to the future.
I dáise de farke, han skipper son dúis in gléagach Blackburn, mas cuide stat I de dríach cluiche.
My personal ambitions is to keep pushing Blackburn higher up the table, hopefully win a couple of silverware, because I want to win something before I retire. To stay healthy, enjoy my life, enjoy my football, make sure I cherish little things, because like life goes quick, and like your football career goes quick as well. Like back in the day, I didn't know this would come so quickly. It's just crazy how fast life goes, and you know, I'm going to cherish the little things, spend the time with my teammates, always don't get down on myself about little things, and just be positive and just enjoy everything.
What a journey, and talk about just seizing every opportunity.
Yeah, I think so. You know, just listening to her. She's obviously, you know, played in a lot of different clubs, went abroad to, you know, America. But it seems like she's took in every experience. It seems like she's, you know, a player who likes to challenge herself and learn, and, you know, she looks as if she's really developed and really has a focus and clear goal of where she wants to aim for.
Well, America, I mean, we talk about it so often on the show, but again, it's cropping up all the time. It just attracts that football talent. It
does. You know, it's never something that I dip my toe into, but, you know, I know numerous players that did, some that are still there and have gone on to become coaches as well. But it's that environment that it could offer you, which was so different, you know, from when I was playing to what you could get here in the UK. That, as she talked about, that professional environment where, you know, you eat, sleep, train football every single day, you know, it's your life. We used to get a taste of it when we went into the, you know, the Champions League perhaps, but, you know, that was it was a taste of it. You know, our normal everyday life was work and training and sleeping and work and training, and, you know, that environment attracts so many people, but it's good that now, you know, particularly in England and hopefully getting there in Scotland, we can offer a bit more of a professional environment for girls and women.
And the climate definitely helps.
Yeah, no, 100%. Yeah, I don't know why I didn't actually go over there at any point to enjoy that weather, but yeah, you know, a hugely great experience to have as a footballer.
Well, Saffron also mentions how much she enjoys it and how much she enjoys her football at Blackburn Rovers, and it is so important that you enjoy it to actually succeed and do well when you're on the pitch, because if you're not enjoying it, you're never going to put you on to it.
You know, I think so, and you know, she touched on it there. I think, you know, as long as you're enjoying and playing with a smile on your face, that's the most important thing, and ultimately it is. You know, again, speaking from my own experience, you know, Glasgow City, I always consider myself a Glasgow City player, but I did go and play for Liverpool when it adopted the Super League, you know, and I'll be honest, the main reason was because you were getting paid to play football. But did I enjoy my football week in, week out? No, I was travelling down to play at the weekend. You know, I wasn't training with them. It just wasn't the same, you know, and I wasn't enjoying it as much. And, you know, I think when you know, you're me and you are retired and you reflect, it really is important to make sure that you're in a good environment to succeed, but one that you're happy in as well.
When you were going through that, did you feel kind of detached from football and from playing, and just that, like you say, the enjoyment that you had up in Scotland at Glasgow City?
Yeah, I think, you know, Glasgow City for me, it was my home, it was my teammates, they were my friends, and then, you know, when I went to Liverpool, I was, you know, travelling down and turning up, you know, 90 minutes before a game, you know, playing with strangers ultimately, and then travelling home, and you just never felt the same passion or, you know, same involvement that you should. And I just think that's, you know, it's so crucial, one, to be successful, but it's also crucial, you know, from an own happiness point of view as well.
And even that in itself, for you to travel and do that every week, it takes so much dedication. We've heard it from Julie Fleeton as well, travelling up from kind of Inverness down to Arsenal.
Yeah.
I mean,
yeah, no, it does. And, you know, I can remember, you know, there'd be midweek games that kicked off at like 8 o'clock in Liverpool, and you'd travel home, and, you know, I'd be up for my work at 8 o'clock in the morning, and, you know, some people don't really realise, you know, how difficult it is when you're not in a professional environment, but you're wanting to apply a professional attitude to your sport. And ultimately, you know, I think that's why it always, you know, 9 times out of 10 in the past, this came down to a choice and a sacrifice for a lot of people, because sustaining that, you know, with 100% commitment to both is difficult.
It is hard, and Saffron mentions that too with her work-life balance, or work-football balance, because she has an intense, or what's most likely been an intense job with the NHS the past year, which we can't deny, but to be doing that and then training and playing on top of that too, I mean, finding time to rest and take time for yourself, staying in top form
No, it's
Again,
hard.
It's hard.
Yeah, it definitely is. But I think as well, she touched on it, you know, going away and having that training with her teammates, you know, was a bit of respite as well. And, you know, it's good that she realises, well, she's still in it, because I probably didn't appreciate how much that was my rest time and downtime, that when it get taken away, you know, you then had to substitute or find something else. And you know, sport is so good, you know, not just for, you know, if you're good at it and you're talented, but from a mental perspective as well. You know, it allows you to, you know, step away from the hustle and bustle of what is your day-to-day life as well.
Exactly, it does have so many benefits. And I suppose just finally, the last thing that Saffron was talking about too was retirement, and actually just how quick a footballing career is, because when you're young and you're at the start of it, it seems like forever.
Yeah.
And then you'll know yourself when it does come to an end. Did you look back and think, did you appreciate it enough when you were in it for the length of time?
And the ultimate answer to that is no. You know, I don't have as many photos as I would like, you know, as many memories as you like in terms of keepsakes or whatever, but you know, it's actually 6 years, this month since I left Glasgow City, which, you know, to say 6 years is just massive. You know, I had my little girl in a Glasgow City strip the other day actually, and took a picture because it was the anniversary, and just to think, you know, 6 years on from that, how different my life is. But I regret not having as many memories or videos or whatever it may be, and you know, some of that's down to, you know, the platform that we had at that time just wasn't the same as it is now, to be able to look back. But you know, it is something I would encourage everybody who's still playing. You really, really appreciate those small moments, because it, you know, it's gone in a flash.
Well, we've still got footage, plenty of footage from your playing days. We'll definitely get that out next time you're on.
Yeah, I know some people were joking that my little girl who's 1.5 could run better than me already when she had the strip on. So yeah, we had some laughs.
We won't let her see that, don't worry. Thank you. Gas Kirsty Muir jailer sciag nuair bhaidhníonn og Seirbheis Nàiseanta is sé sciag Seirbheis bhair beag glacadh leis sain is Seirbheis Nàiseanta Iona Ballanytne spórsíocha.
Sheach Kirsty Muir Harry spórs neachgus an bruidhinn rí sciag le teolach ag ús-og. Thug sé nor a bhír a beag glacadh le sciag Seir.
My whole family skis. When I was younger, we skied together on the, you know, Scottish mountains, you know, the Lecht and Glenshee. I was 7 or something when I started, maybe 6 when I started freestyle. So back then it was just another hobby. I had lots of little hobbies, and then, I mean, I loved it, and then I just kept doing it. And yeah, I don't know when I thought I could make it into a career, but it was more of a gradual build. I love the freedom of it. There's so much you can do. There's so much variety. And then, like, just flying through the air. I know it sounds cringy, but yeah, just going off a jump and just being in the air for a moment. I don't know. There's no other feeling. And I just love it.
Chríoch ní Kirsty san darna agus as a dreisáid ag cuarpas an ócrí na crinne na 2019. Chórstéirí go mór a bhí a farpas an í sár lúchléisich an eile.
That was another really cool competition. One of my first ones competing against, you know, the high level girls. Because Kelly Silderu, Megan Oldham, that are now competing at the World Cups with me, they were all there. So it was a really great experience to compete against them. I've enjoyed these experiences so much, and I'm so grateful to be able to travel this year with everything that's happening. I've enjoyed exploring so many new places, and yeah, I hope to continue to do that.
Bhuana hí bán erigid an na 2020 gemichin ócrí Olympica geáirí. Ba Seán a hlach mhórthaí sí neiste gamas a aide choisineach na Olympics an na t-seusan'sa.
When I got selected to go, I was over the moon. It was pretty huge for me. It was such an amazing experience. The whole week was so much fun. You know, the village and meeting so many athletes from different sports and different countries. Yeah, and then managing to come second, you know, it was a really big achievement for me.
Sa bhairstean bliana bhuaigh Kirsty Ballanytne ag cúpa na cruinne le cléasáireachta chuirí rempa a dhéanamh ag a bhuinead me cuide.
I was so excited to get to the finals even, because that was my first World Cup finals. During the competition, I decided to go for my, you know, my double 12, which before that I'd never landed in competition. I'd landed my first run. Wasn't the cleanest run, but I'd landed it. So I knew I had something, you know, I knew I'd had a run down. And then I was just decided that I just didn't want to, you know, hold anything back. So I just decided to go for it. And, you know, looking back, I'm so happy that I did. When I came second, you know, I couldn't believe it. I was like so happy.
Hai gymaint tálachte leis mar a hir Seirbheis agus uirsteach gurí go seo. Hai lán gáchas gan misneach í duine eile gus an spórs íochain.
Really happy with my progress. I mean, I can remember being, I think it was on my 10th birthday, I can remember learning my first front flip. And from then kept building and progressing. And yeah, I'm really happy as to where I've got to. Youth Olympic silver and then World Cup silver. All of them they're up there for, you know, my best achievements. I'd love to go to the Olympics and be invited to X Games, because in the ski world, X Games is really big. I've always wanted to go to Japan because they've got the best powder skiing. And yeah, travel the world and yeah, try and inspire some, you know, other people to get into the sport, because I love it and I hope maybe they can too.
Suzanne, there is so much skill involved in every sport, but how do you feel watching that?
Yeah, a bit inferior, to be honest. But no, just to be 16 years old and, you know, watching some of the stuff that she's able to do is just frightening, and to see her competing at such a level is just huge for, you know, Scottish talent.
And she's so humble, and you can just tell that she has such a bright future ahead of her.
Yeah, exactly. You can hear in her voice how passionate she is as well about the sport, and, you know, credit to her. I think she's got a long way to go, and she seems as if she's got the right determination to succeed.
And even what she was saying when she did win silver in that World Cup, where she just decided last minute just to go for that specific jump, and it paid off. Even just making those decisions whilst you're on a run or about to go on a run is like, takes so
a huge
much.
amount of courage, you know, but I think she is someone who obviously, you know, she trusts in her own ability, which is a huge thing. And I think the younger you are as well, you know, you're more likely to take those risks, aren't you? And, you know, it's certainly paying off for her.
Well, it's a very exciting future for Kirsty, definitely.
Yeah, 100%.
If we just move on to football, there's been quite a few announcements this week in terms of the women's game from the Champions League, a big cash injection and restructure. So UEFA have said that competition will redistribute 24 million euros to women's football across Europe. That's more than 4 times greater than the current figure. For a start, for women's football in general, that is a positive step. Yeah,
it's huge. You know, long overdue, I may say, but, you know, I think the women's game needs injection of cash. It needs, you know, that support to allow people to, you know, apply 100% dedication and professionalism to everything they do. And, you know, I think with that investment, we'll only see the benefits over the next couple of years.
And there's so many things that you can take from that, even just being able to watch more Champions League football on TV at good times across the board, and for the players too.
Yeah, you know, the other day I found myself watching the Chelsea Bayern Munich game, and, you know, you don't have to go searching through, you know, all different channels. You know, it's there and it's readily available, and, you know, for young girls being able to see that, you know, it gives them so much to aspire to be. You know, back when I was playing, you know, you just didn't have that, and, you know, it's just great to see that, you know, women's sport has been recognised, women's football, sorry, has been recognised for the great sport that it is.
Well, the other kind of change that which would make a huge difference is that teams playing in the new group stage will receive a minimum fee of 400,000 euros. That's at least 5 times more than amounts paid to teams reaching the equivalent stage, the round of 16 in the competition today. The winner could earn up to 1.4 million euros in rewards, depending on the results throughout the competition. That could be brilliant for the Scottish teams should they make it, which is the important part, to to note?
Yeah, I think, you know, it would be great, you know, playing for, as a Glasgow City player, you know, playing with that, you know, caveat and that in front of you, and being able to, you know, aspire to achieve that. You know, it could change, you know, the whole shape of the club, you know, everything that, you know, that club has wanted to do for so many years. You know, that injection of cash could ultimately change that. But then, you know, on the other hand, you think, could that potentially, you know, further create the gap in Scotland itself, where you have one club, you know, having huge income and others not?
It definitely makes those 2 Champions League spots really like gold dust in the league, doesn't it?
Yeah, it's crucial. You know, I think we need to, you know, have 2 teams in it, and we need to have 2 teams performing well in it, you know, each year, just to continue to, you know, showcase the sport and the talent that we've got here in Scotland. Is
it a worry that should the Scottish teams not make it, that they could then be left behind from these other big European teams?
Yeah, I think so. You know, the further you go into the competition in the Champions League, you know, you qualify quarterfinals, semi-finals, whatever. Quarterfinals was, you know, the furthest we got, and there was a stark contrast in, you know, the facilities, you know, the professionalism, and not from a desire, not having the desire at our end, but just the cash injection that was on the other side. You know, it was very difficult to compete with, and you know, I suppose there is that fear that, you know, potentially the money could just then enhance those teams even further and push that gap harder than it is at the moment.
Well, like with the money aspect, there is another one which was announced. From the start of next season, participating clubs will have the flexibility to alter their squad list at any time during the season in order to temporarily replace players either because they are pregnant or because they leave or return from maternity leave. That's a big statement for women in football and for women in sport to actually see that happening.
Yeah, it is, you know, but it's 2021 and that's when it's came. You know, it's huge, and it just goes to show, you know, there's recognition now that, you know, it isn't possible, you know, to sustain that level of professionalism if you're not getting the support from the club or the governing bodies. So, you know, for clubs to have that ability to do so, you know, would just allow people to, you know, not think they have to stop their playing career to go and, you know, maybe perhaps have children, and that they can combine the 2 and still come back to, you know, having a good footballing career afterwards.
Well, it's great, but definitely about time, isn't it?
Yeah, 100%.
The other one that we've seen this week is the Scottish FA. They've announced a Girls and Women's Recovery Fund supported by FIFA COVID Relief Investment that aims to assist and encourage clubs to re-engage girls and women with football. That's a welcome boost to the Scottish game.
Yeah, it is, and I think it's needed as well. You know, a lot of the smaller clubs would have suffered, you know, particularly throughout COVID. You know, the smaller clubs in this country, you know, they have to do loads of fundraising efforts, you know, not even to develop, but just to sustain the level they're at. You know, the cost of pitches, the cost of referees, the cost of whatever else, you know, they need that support to help them, you know, sustain that, but also then build on that and become better and better.
There's £250 to £1,000 available. What can clubs feasibly do with that money?
Not a lot, probably, is the honest answer. You know, if you really put it into perspective, you know, hiring a pitch for 2 hours, you know, could cost near enough £160 probably, and you know, great, you know, we welcome any injection of cash into the women's game, but I think, you know, we need to be realistic as well. If we, you know, we really want to change it and make it better, you know, I think we need a bit more.
It's just so important to get girls and teenage girls and women and just kind of everyone back playing and getting that momentum back, which was so evident around the time of the World Cup, which just unfortunately due to the last year, we've kind of lost that momentum due to COVID. No one could have predicted that.
Yeah, no, it is sad in a way that you know, the timing of that couldn't have worked any worse, you know, against women's sport. You know, coming around the World Cup, coming back from the World Cup, you know, everybody was speaking about the women's game, and you know, that's what we wanted and that's what we want again, and you know, we need that support and that injection of cash to get that back in the forefront of people's minds.
Do you think it'll take another big tournament for that momentum to reach what it was and surpass that, or do you think we'll manage to do that naturally through investment like this?
I think investment will help, and I do think, you know, more and more people are watching the women's game still on the back of that. You know, the club games that are going on at the weekends or midweek. You know, a lot more people are watching it, but I think to really, you know, grasp the attention of the nation again, we do need to, you know, reach another major tournament.
What would you say to any young girls watching this thinking about football?
Do it, get involved. Yep, 100%. It's, you know, it's one of the best parts of my life, and you know, it can offer so much more to girls today than it did for me in the past.
Great. Well, thank you so much for joining us again this week.
No
and
worries.
I'm sure we'll see you soon and we'll get that footage of your playing days back up.
Yeah.
Thanks, Suzanne. And a sheachdain, bí manager Albannach is Clannaíon Rangers éiminig dul colrooms in studio. Jan Cínteach go bhfuil si bhfuil trí seascad ar YouTube agus géibh si bhín program deireadh iPlayer BBC. Agus chuinnig cúteach go bhí gamachan an SWPL beor fiag a BBC ar an deireadh sheachdain na mes Derby Gnéitin de dóigh ar BBC Alba. Achun na náhuras, mar sin live an drast.